Nearly a week ago, last Saturday, a Rice Media story went viral when it exposed BooksActually owner Kenny Leck's past relationships with his young female employees, as well as alleged unfair labor practices at the store. What came after? Statements from authors and publishers distancing themselves from Leck and BooksActually. On Monday, 38 authors published by BooksActually's publishing arm Math Paper Press said they're angry and disheartened to read past employees' accounts and didn't condone non-consensual or exploitative behavior. Well, then on Tuesday, Leck told the Straits Times that he's stepping back 100% from BooksActually. He said he would give up the directorship and 100% of the shares to the store's 5 employees. And this was after his apology 2 days earlier. Renee Ting, Leck's ex-wife and the main profile in the Rice Media expose, posting on Facebook yesterday. It has only been 6 days, and that's hardly enough time for anyone to process something as large, difficult, overwhelming, emotional and heavy as this. Ms. Ting also criticized the rush to make statements without pausing to ask the women who spoke up how they're doing, what they needed and what would be helpful for them. The Straits Times' assistant life editor, Olivia Ho, has been tracking this ongoing story and writing a column on it for the Sunday Times. She's here to share more. Olivia, Kenny Leck is an influential person in the very small literary scene in Singapore, and whether it's the alleged harassment or unfair labor conditions and practices at BooksActually, it sounds like they've been happening for several years. So Olivia, how could this have gone on for so long?
Well, Olivia, I wish I could tell you if I knew. It's something that I've been asking very much over the past few days. Like you said, Mr. Leck is very influential. He's published many authors. He's closely associated with many established literary figures. And one thing that has come up quite a lot in the accounts, both in the Rice Media article that at first made the allegations, as well as other former employees that I've spoken to, a lot of them said that, he would, talk about how he could affect other people's careers in the art scene, that he was very influential. He knew many people in positions of power. So I suppose what I'm trying to get at is, how was this network of power constructed? Who are the people that he surrounded himself with that might have, that he could have used to illustrate this influence, knowingly or not, or who might have behaved in ways that made the employees feel unable to speak up, even though this went on for this seems to have gone on for so long, if the allegations are as they are.
Olivia, the community, is dealing with the aftermath, with the fallout. There are even calls for boycotts on BooksActually and Math Paper Press. And the store is going to be associated with this scandal, so to speak, for a long time. Is there a future for BooksActually?
Well, what is happening now is that Mr. Leck has said he's going to be transferring his ownership and directorship of the company to the 5 employees who constitute the team that are currently working there. How this is taking place, we're not entirely sure yet, because the team have not really spoken out beyond a few Facebook posts. What we understand is that there are 5 quite young employees, probably women, and this is likely to be their first business. But I would like to hope that that they have the vision and agency to take this on, and that they. There are a lot of concerns. Is Mr. Leck still going to be tied to the company? He said no. Are there any financial liabilities that would transfer to the new owners? He's also said no, but then again, we only have his word for it. And finally, is this something that they want? And so from what it seems on what they post on Facebook, it is something that they've decided they will take on, and it's not like something they've been thrust into because of this crisis. Yet at the same time, I think a lot of people are quite concerned about that. So I think we just have to keep watching it and believe that this group of young women are able to, in time to come, deliver a system that that will satisfy the many calls for accountability, and that if they, and they should also feel free to just walk away. They shouldn't feel obliged to try and save books actually just because it's been so important to the literary community. I think, if they want to walk away, they should.
That's a good point. I also understand that these developments have already cast a shadow on upcoming events like the Singapore Writers' Festival in November. How can the literary community recover from this?
Honestly, I don't think the recovery of the literary community is the first thing on my mind right now. The recovery that I'm most concerned about is but we've had these people who have told us very distressing stories of harm, and those I think are the stories that should be centered, and we should be listening to these women, to other people who want to speak up. And if the literary community is going to recover, that's where the recovery has to start. They have to pay attention to this kind of thing. They have to create cultures in which it's easier to speak up, and that people wouldn't be so afraid to face reprisals to their careers or their advancements in the scene. And and also just have better, fairer labor practices, policies against harassment, um, better working conditions like fixed hours, designated breaks. The literary community has always gone. I think one of the things that is always selling point in literature, people are always going about feminism, inclusivity in the books that you read, and that should also be the case in the workplaces that create and sell them, I think.